Call to order. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? May we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Person?
Here.
Ms. Switchy?
Here.
Mr. McGurven?
Here.
Ms. Perez?
Here.
Mr. Pavoni?
Here.
Mr. Corman?
Here.
Mr. Prince?
Here.
Roll call, Mr. Mayor, all present.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you. First item on the agenda is several proclamations. We have a very special proclamation to kick off with in honor of our former state senator, Margarita Prentice. Following the presentation of the proclamation, Doug, not to put you on the spot, but I'd welcome you to come up and say a few words, having worked with the senator for a lot of years. So, okay, Jason?
Okay, proclamation, Senator Margarita Prentice Day. Whereas the late Senator Margarita Prentice left a significant imprint on the Renton community in her time here, touching the lives of so many in her city and state. And whereas Senator Prentice first entered political life with election to the Renton School Board in 1986, and 2 years later became the first Latina elected to the Washington State Legislature, serving in the House from 1988 to 1992, and in the Senate from 1993 to 2013, becoming chair of the Senate Financial Institutions and Housing Committee, acquiring the position of chair of the Ways and Means Committee, and later working as Senate President pro tempore. And whereas Senator Prentice brought the toughness, common sense, and street smarts she gained as a nurse to the hallways of Olympia, always reaching across the aisle to work in a bipartisan manner. And whereas in 2005, when Boeing moved its operations closer to Lake Washington, Senator Prentice secured $5 million in the 2005 to 2007 capital budget that was pivotal to the development of what is now the Landing. And whereas a year later, Senator Prentice successfully sponsored several Senate bills allowing Renton to access state sales tax credit to financially aid in the annexation of the Cascade-Benson Hill neighborhood in 2008. And whereas in the wake of the Great Recession, Senator Prentice found funds in the state budget for the Renton Small Business Development Center to retain and recruit small businesses. And whereas as the mother of an autistic son, Senator Prentice recognized the need for and offered her help with the Meadowcrest Accessible Playground in the Sunset area, with Renton recognizing the senator by establishing a donations fund for the project in her name. And whereas while Senator Prentice rose to places of influence and prominence, she never forgot the plight of those less fortunate, the problems of her constituents, or the priorities of her local community. Now, therefore, I, Dennis Law, Mayor of the City of Renton, do hereby proclaim May 10, 2019 to be Senator Margarita Prentice Day in the City of Renton, and I encourage all members of the community to join me in the special observation, in witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Renton to be affixed the 6th day of May, 2019, signed Dennis Law, Mayor of the City of Renton.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Person.
I move the proclamation be approved.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Person, second by Mr. Corman, that this proclamation be adopted as read. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. We're very saddened to hear about the passing of Senator Prentice, and very pleased this evening to have her daughter Kathy and son Bill here to accept this proclamation. Please come up.
Just give me 1 second. My camera's acting up on me. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. And 2, 3. Thank you.
And Kathy and Bill, you are welcome to say a few words, and I think Doug would have a few words also to express our appreciation of all she did for our city.
Oh, well, thank you, everybody, for, thank you, everybody, for thinking of our mother and showing your appreciation. She never forgot her district, and I just always appreciated all the things she wanted to help the businesses. She wanted to do business, her campaign. She always wanted to have her functions in Renton and kind of spread the money around with her campaign. So I'm glad that you're recognizing all she's done, because this was a big part of her career she spent here.
That's great. Thank you, Kathy. Doug?
Well, I'll just say, I think when the mayor had asked for this proclamation to be drafted, I described it in my emails back and forth with the mayor and staff as kind of a labor of love, because Margarita Prentice was Renton. I mean, really, I suspect if you cut her, probably she bleeded blue, or bled blue, I guess it would be. But when you met with Margarita Prentice, you met with Margarita Prentice in Renton. Likely you were going to be in the conference room, which became the Prentice conference room for those meetings, or you met with her at the, we were talking about it at the old Yankee Diner. And I guess the one thing I'd like for people to understand about Senator Prentice is we were just talking, Kathy and Bill and myself, about a lost art in politics. Sometimes we see all of this head knocking at the federal level, but Margarita Prentice was that classic politician who had her democratic beliefs, but if you wanted to get something done in Olympia, she formed great friendships with Don Benton and Pam Roach, and they were nothing like her politically. And yet she had the magical touch to reach across the aisle and work with those members, and very often you'd look at the voting board and you'd see Don Benton and Pam Roach voting with Margarita Prentice when they might not have voted with any other Democrat sitting over there, and they might not have voted on that same bill had it been sponsored by any other Democrat, but they did it because Margarita Prentice asked them to. And you heard in the proclamation so many of the things that are in Renton today that we take for granted, whether it's the Landing or the Cascade Benson Hill neighborhood. Margarita's fingerprints are all over those things. So I'm so glad that we could honor her, and obviously look forward to one of the council members being able to read that proclamation to an audience at her service on Friday at 3 o'clock. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Doug. Okay, Jason. The next one you're familiar with.
Yes, I believe Mr. Harrison's going to read this one for me.
Well, that's good.
Okay, this proclamation is in honor of Municipal Clerks Week. Whereas the Office of Municipal Clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world, and whereas the Office of the Municipal Clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the Office of the Municipal Clerk provides a professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels. And whereas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. And whereas the municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community. And whereas municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, provincial, county, and international professional organizations. And whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the municipal clerk. Now therefore, I, Dennis Law, Mayor of the City of Renton, do hereby proclaim May 5th through May 11th, 2019 to be Municipal Clerks Week in the City of Renton, and further extend appreciation to our municipal clerk, Jason Seth, and to all municipal clerks for their vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities that they represent. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Renton to be affixed the 6th day of May, 2019. Dennis Law, Mayor, City of Renton, Washington.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr.
I
Person.
move the proclamation be approved as read.
Second?
It's been moved by Mr. Person, second by Ms. Witchy, that this proclamation be adopted as read. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Jason, the ayes, it passed.
Yeah, thank you.
So our plan tomorrow is to get a picture of Jason and his entire staff with the proclamation. So thank you, Jason, for all your hard work.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes,
Just a
Mr. Person.
comment. I'm in my 20th year, and Jason has been a breath of fresh air in the city clerk's office and is very helpful to everyone that comes through the door, and has trained his staff to do the same. It's such a friendly place to walk into. I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And I too want to thank my staff, so thank you.
Thanks, Jason. Okay, safe boating. And couldn't pick a better week for this proclamation.
Okay.
Yeah, that's for sure.
My turn again. Safe boating and paddling week. Whereas the city of Renton is bounded by Lake Washington shoreline and encompasses numerous waterways, and whereas a large number of Renton's residents of all ages engage in recreational boating, and whereas on average 700 people die each year in boating-related accidents in the U.S., with the vast majority of those accidents caused by human error and poor judgment, and not by the boat, equipment, or environmental factors. And whereas a significant number of boaters who lose their lives by drowning each year would be alive today had they worn their life jackets. And whereas the mission of the United States Coast Guard Auxiliary Division II, overseeing Renton, is to promote and improve recreational boating safety by teaching boating safety courses and conducting vessel safety checks. Now therefore, I, Dennis Law, Mayor of the City of Renton, do hereby proclaim May 18th through 24th, 2019 to be Safe Boating and Paddling Week in the City of Renton, and I encourage all citizens to dedicate themselves to learning about and practicing safe boating, including wearing life jackets. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Renton to be affixed the 6th day of May 2019. Signed, Dennis Law, Mayor of the City of Renton.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Person.
I move the proclamation be adopted as read.
Second?
It's been moved by Mr. Person, second by Ms. Witchy, that this proclamation be adopted as read. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. And we're pleased to have Jeff Hunter, who is the Vice Flotilla Commander with the Coast Guard Auxiliary, here to receive the proclamation.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Council President, and members of the City Council. My name is Jeffrey Hunter. I am Vice Flotilla Commander of U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary Flotilla 2-5, based here in Renton, Washington. I am also a resident of this fine city. It's my honor to be here today to receive the proclamation for Safe Boating Week in the city of Renton, Washington. This is the most dangerous time of year to be on our waters, since the waters in our lakes and rivers were just snowpack a few weeks ago. Since 1949, National Safe Boating Week sought to raise the awareness of the nearly 12 million registered boaters in the United States. The campaign is led by the National Safe Boating Council and through their partners, including the United States Coast Guard, the United States Coast Guard Auxiliary. They provide educational information and free resources to support local boating safety outreach. Organizations such as the Coast Guard Auxiliary provide education classes, vessel safety checks, and guidance on life jacket wear to help reduce the number of boating fatalities reported annually. The Wear It campaign seeks to encourage all boaters to ensure that they and their passengers wear a properly fitting life jacket to address the #1 cause of death in boating accidents, drowning. According to the United States Coast Guard statistics, 80% of all fatalities reported had drowning listed as the cause of death. Of that 80%, 84.5 were not wearing life jackets. Sadly, 2 out of every 3 of those fatalities was a swimmer who is characterized as a good swimmer. The bottom line here, folks, is that safety and lives are saved by wearing properly fitting life jackets. We encourage each boat owner to receive a free vessel safety check from the U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary. The free safety assessment validates that the boat owner is not only in compliance with federal and state law, but has the required safety equipment on board their vessel, providing adequate ability to respond to emergencies while afloat. Lastly, we encourage all boaters to take a boating safety course. These are offered by several organizations, including the U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary, the U.S. Power Squadron, and the Washington State Parks and Recreation Commission. The key to safety is awareness of the risks involved. This class addresses proper navigational rules and how to respond to emergencies on our waterways. These classes are an essential part of safe boat operation. On behalf of the United States Coast Guard Auxiliary Flotilla 25, it is my pleasure to welcome the City of Renton as a partner in promoting the safety of the citizens and guests who come to Renton to enjoy the beautiful recreational resources our city has to offer. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for being here this evening. Okay, now we're going to move into a public hearing on annexation. Angie Mathias.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. My name is Angie Mathias, and I'm here this evening to do the presentation on behalf of this public hearing. Oh, it's not up there on that screen for you. As far as the annexation process goes, you may recall we had a meeting with the petitioner at the 10% phase. That happened a number of months ago, and you authorized the circulation of the 60% petition. The petitioner has submitted that petition, and it's been certified by the county as being a valid petition. And so we're here with you this evening holding a public hearing. So this is required by state law for the proponents to, for you all to either accept or reject this annexation. If you accept it, you can accept all or a portion of the area that's been petitioned for annexation. So there's the proposed annexation area over here in the East Plateau Community Planning Area. It's our eastern portion of our city limits, and as I said, it's in the East Plateau Community Planning Area. It's about 12.5 acres in size. The current uses are single-family and vacant lands. The boundaries to the north are near Northeast 3rd if it were extended. At the east, it's 158th Avenue Southeast. To the south, it's parcel lines and Southeast 132nd. And to the west, it's a parcel line that's near Shadow Avenue Northeast. Here's an aerial shot of the proposed annexation you can see with some vacant land and some single-family housing that's in it. Existing conditions, we always look at whether there's regulated slopes, streams, or wetlands within the area, and there are none within this annexation area. Public services, it's currently served by the Renton Fire Authority. That would not change upon annexation. Utilities, it's served by Water District 90. That would also not change. It's in Renton Sewer Service Area. That would not change. And it's in the Issaquah School District almost in its entirety, except for the two southernmost parcels are in the Renton School District, so those two that drop down. The county land use designation is urban residential medium, which allows a range between 4 and 12 dwelling units per acre, and the county has zoned it R4 zone. In Renton, we have it designated as residential low density, which would allow resource conservation zoning, R1 or R4 zoning. This area was pre-zoned in advance of the East Plateau annexation vote in 2007, and that pre-zoning would become effective upon annexation. We always look at our policies that are in our comprehensive plan about annexations. One of our goals is that we promote annexation where and when it's in our best interests. And we have two policies about annexations. One, that we support annexations where infrastructure and services allow for urban densities, and or if it would consolidate service delivery and facilitate efficient delivery of services. And then finally, to consider fiscal impacts for proposed annexations. One of the things that you would authorize me to do if you accept this annexation is to submit this annexation to the King County Boundary Review Board. So we like to look at their objectives and criteria in advance to make sure that we're going to meet their criteria. The relevant ones to this annexation are the use of physical boundaries, and this uses parcel lines, which is considered to be a physical boundary. To prevent irregular boundaries, it's considered irregular because of over time they anticipate that the entire area would annex. So they understand these incremental annexations to create or preserve logical service areas. Those are all unchanged, as we saw, and then an annexation is to of an unincorporated area to an area that is urban in nature, and Renton is an urban city. Here's the fiscal analysis. Current conditions that we identified is that there are 12 dwelling units within the annexation area with an estimated 29 residents. If the area were to develop under the R4 zoning, there's the capacity and potential for 22 additional dwelling units, an additional 53 residents. And we assumed that costs increase at 3.3% annually, and revenue increases at 2.5% annually, but that's limited to sales tax, utility tax, and franchise fees. So to the operating fund, existing revenues are about $23,000 with costs at about $23,000. Year 10, if it were to fully build out with those assessed valuations, revenues would be at about $68,000 and costs at about $63,000. To the capital and enterprise funds, revenues currently are at about $5,000 with costs at about $3,500. And with future development, if it were to fully build out, revenues would be at about $12,000 and costs at about $11,000. We always circulate the proposed annexation to the different departments, and they review the annexation and the proposal, and all departments indicated that the proposed annexation represents a logical extension of their services. In conclusion, it is in the best interest of the city, and the general welfare of the city are served by this annexation. It's a logical extension of our services, it's consistent with our adopted policies, and it's consistent with the Boundary Review Board criteria. In the recommendation of the administration is that council accept this 60% direct petition to annex, and that you authorize the administration to forward the notice of intent to the Boundary Review Board.
Thank you, Angie. Any correspondence?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I received one piece of correspondence. It's from a Mr. and Mrs. Jakes who do live in Renton. They would propose that the east 2 acres bordering 158th Avenue not be developed and be turned into a public park. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from council for Angie?
No.
Okay, we have a couple people that have signed up to testify for this annexation hearing. When I call your name, please come to the podium, give your name, city of residence for the record, and you have 5 minutes. There's a timer right in front of the city clerk. First person is Michael Tatcher.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. My name is Michael Tatcher, Renton, Washington, live within this annexation area. I just want to state that we've kind of been a little lone wolf, surrounded all by Renton, and we have, when we need services, we have to go through King County presently, and it's tough. They're somewhere else and have to fight to get to our area, and we look forward to having better police service. We see your police just around the corner, but they're not available to us yet. So that and the other services that the city of Renton offers, we would really be pleased to enter the 8th largest city in the state of Washington. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next person signed up, I apologize, I can't read your name, live on 156th. Is it Varna? Is that correct? I didn't want to destroy your name, so I apologize.
Thank you. My name is Kushal Varma, and I'm a resident and own a piece of property over there on 156. And just to reiterate this point, same concern that currently being outside of King County, that we don't get the service as far as police force, and utilities is also a problem if you are not part of the city of Renton. As far as sewer cost goes, it's a lot higher if you are in King County than part of city of Renton. So it'd be welcome addition if we are annexed into city of Renton. Thank you.
Thank you. And Howard McComber.
I'm Howard McComber. I live in the city of Renton, and I personally believe that anybody who lives in King County who can possibly join Renton ought to do it as quickly as they can, because the services that we have are fabulous, and I appreciate the fact that we have a city with a heart, and they help us with everything and everybody. So if I can say anything at all, Renton is really great. Thank you.
Thank you, Howard. Was there anybody else that wanted to testify on the annexation issue? Okay, what's the wish of the council?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Prince.
I move we close the public hearing.
Second.
Been moved by Mr. Prince, second by Mr. Pavoni, that this public hearing be closed. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Prince.
I move that the council accept the 60% direct petition to annex and authorize the administration to forward the notice of intent to the Boundary Review Board.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Prince, second by Ms. Perez, that council accept the 60% direct petition to annex. Is there any discussion or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Angie. Okay, moving on to administrative report. Mr. Harrison.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, City Council. I have 2 items this evening. First, Spring Recycle Day is on Saturday, May 11th, and the Solid Waste Utility will be holding its annual Spring Recycle event at the Renton Technical College North Parking Lot, which is located at Northeast 6th Place and Monroe Avenue Northeast, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. During this event, non-perishable food items will also be collected for the Renton Food Bank. For more information, you can check the city's website at rentonwa.gov/spring recycle or contact the Solid Waste Utility at 425-430-7398, 425-430-7398. And the second item this evening is residents, if you're interested, come learn bike skills, safety information, and maintenance tips at the Bike Rodeo and Family Safety Fair, which is going to be held on May 11th from 10 a.m. to noon at the Highlands Neighborhood Center. This event is for children ages 4 to 12, and the rodeo is free, but registration is required. For more information or to register, visit rentonwa.gov/recreation. That's all this evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, moving on to audience comments. We have a number of people who signed up to address the council. When I call your name, please give your name and city of residence for the record, and you have 5 minutes. First of all is Robert Steele.
My name's Robert Steele, and live in Renton. This has to do with the asphalt plant. I'm sure you're all very well familiar with that, but it's coming to a head now where King County is about to issue a permit or a possibility of a DS it actually doesn't look like it's going to be a DS. It looks like it's going to probably be something other than that. There's 2 possibilities, but it kind of looks like they're going to push it through from everything we understand. So I'm here as kind of a last-ditch effort that you folks might consider sending another letter. You could possibly tip the scales on this issue. And that's, kind of our last-ditch effort, is to see that you guys could reach out and touch the King County Permitting Department and let them know how important it is for an environmental impact study. If there's nothing to hide, there should be no reason for them to not do this. So I have some really good news, is that, I don't know if you've heard it, you may have, but the River Bend project has been funded by the state. I just got that information from WIRA 8, and that's a really good thing. Bad news is that there aren't any fish coming up into the river. They're coming up through the locks, but this year we had a record low number of fish coming in, and our river is dying, and so this asphalt plant isn't going to help it. And I think if you guys were really bold and courageous and write a good, strong, worded letter for an EIS, it might tip the scales. So I'm going to show you one thing. I've shown this to many people. It's only designed for individuals to look at kind of up close. But I created a model here. The asphalt plant is located right here, or the proposed asphalt plant. And there's a choke point right here at the Jones Road. And these hills here rise up a little over 300 feet in elevation above the river. And in the summer months, where they have the mass, or they have most of their asphalt plants, or most of their asphalt road construction is taking place in the summer months, and late at night. So I'm not so concerned with the traffic, because it's late at night where they go out with their trucks. I'm more concerned with summer nights. There's no wind. There's nothing to get the the emissions out of this valley. This river is cold. It's the lowest spot. The emissions are heavier than air. They drop down into that area. And this is a turbulent river in this area, so it's going to absorb the toxins. The River Bend project is right here, which is 1 mile down the road. They're putting millions of dollars into that now to restore primarily the Chinook salmon for the orcas. But the toxics that come out of this plant are what the worst one is polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. And those actually mutate the fish in their embryonic state. And that location right there, they want to develop, they funded it to develop, they're going to develop it, is an area where the wild salmon are going to be spawning. It doesn't make any sense. They could put this plant somewhere else. It doesn't have to be a mile away from that spot. So I'm going to conclude here and say, that you ought to really encourage the county to, protect their investments, because there's millions of dollars that have already been spent. Now they want to put more into it. Thank you for your.
You bet. Thank you. Next is Joe Scalia.
Local 2170 members, can we come outside, please? Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you for having me speak tonight. I just wanted to share with everybody that I'm a member of the Renton Downtown Partnership, and I'm here to let you know that we fully support everything that this council is trying to do in the city, as well as you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to really just let you know that we value everything that you guys are doing, and I would like to formally invite everybody to the Renton Wine Walk. That is June 7th. Thank you.
You have to sign up early, right? That fills up pretty quick.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. We usually run out of tickets almost within a month or so of them announcing everything, but I'm sure we can make something work for you guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you being here. Diane Dobson?
Evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. I am here on behalf of our North Renton Neighborhood Association President, Kevin Hayes, who is unable to be here tonight. Wanted to take the opportunity to thank city staff for meeting with representatives of the Neighborhood Association last week. Mr. Seitz, Mr. Zimmerman. There were 5 of them, but we appreciate it. There was active communication. There were items that are very important to the neighborhood, including the safety of the pedestrian access points, the safety of those intersections, and so it's my understanding that it will be revisited, and then there's a formal open house on May 24th. But wanted to take the opportunity to thank staff for taking the time out of their schedules to meet with the Neighborhood Association.
Great, thank you, Diane.
Mr. Mayor, Ms. Dobson, can you clarify which project you're talking about?
It is the Williams Wells Conversion Project.
Thank you.
Two-way street.
Thank you.
Thank you. Was there anybody else who wanted that's still in the room that wanted to testify before the council? Okay, so moving on to consent agenda, we have 14 items for council consideration. Are there any items the council member would like pulled for discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Person.
seeing none, I move the consent agenda be adopted as presented.
Second.
Been moved by Mr. Person, second by Ms. Witchy, that the consent agenda be adopted as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Moving on to unfinished business, Mr. Person.
No unfinished business.
Ms. Witchy.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Mr. McIrvin.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the Transportation Committee has 3 committee reports.
Okay. Appointment to the Renton Airport Advisory Committee. The Transportation Aviation Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to confirm Mayor Law's appointment of Ms. Bojana Gugulevska to the Renton Airport Advisory Committee, Renton Hill, Monterey Terrace Neighborhood alternate position for an unexpired term expiring May 7th, 2020. This is signed by the committee chair and members.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. McIrvin.
I move that the council concur with the recommendation of the Transportation Committee.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. McIrvin, second by Mr. Corman, that council concur with the Transportation Committee report. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
The next report is regarding the airport lease agreement with Northwest Seaplanes for the 608 hangar building. The Transportation Aviation Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute a lease agreement with Northwest Seaplanes Incorporated to convert the month-to-month lease agreement for the 608 hangar building into a 5-year lease with revenues generated at $54,704.64 annually. Additionally, Northwest Seaplanes Incorporated agrees to pay $11,756.40 in retroactive rent. This is signed by the committee chair and members.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
This committee report and the next one, actually, both are lease agreements where they were month to month, as you heard, and well below what market rate was. So we're getting a good deal in approving this today. So I move that the council concur with the Transportation Committee report.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. McGurven, second by Mr. Corman, that council concur with the Transportation Committee report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Okay, the final Transportation Aviation Committee report is regarding a lease agreement with Puget Sound Energy for the 622 hangar building at the airport. The Transportation Aviation Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute a lease agreement with Puget Sound Energy to convert the month-to-month lease agreement for the 622 hangar building into a 5-year lease with revenues generated at $75,370.32 annually. Additionally, Puget Sound Energy agrees to pay $10,188.78 in retroactive rent. This is signed by the committee chair and members.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Mr. McGurven.
I move that the council concur with the Transportation Committee report.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. McGurven, second by Ms. Perez, that council concur with the Transportation Aviation Committee report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, Ms. Perez.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Mr. Pavoni.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Finance has 2 committee reports.
Okay, approval of claims and payroll vouchers. The Finance Committee approves the following payments. Accounts payable, total payments of $6,996,218.33 for payroll benefit withholding vouchers and a wire transfer. Payroll, total payment of $1,469,012.77 for payroll vouchers, which include 678 direct deposits and 13 checks. This is the March 16th through 31 pay period. And then a payment to Kidder Matthews, a total payment of $35,232.19 for vouchers 5857 through 5875. All other vouchers are on file in the clerk's office. This is signed by the committee chair and members.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Pavoni.
I move that the council concur with the Finance Committee report.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Pavoni, second by Mr. Prince, that council concur with the Finance Committee report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Okay, the final committee report from the Finance Committee is a facilities coordinator hire at pay grade A25, step E. The Finance Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to hire a facilities coordinator at step E of salary grade A25 effective May 1st, 2019. This is signed by the committee chair and members.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move the council concur with the Finance Committee report.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Pavoni, second by Mr. Prince, that council concur with the Finance Committee report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, Mr. Corman?
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Mr. Prince?
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
All right, moving on to legislation. We have 2 ordinances for second and final reading.
Okay, the first ordinance is regarding outdoor recreational uses in the urban center zone. An ordinance of the City of Renton, Washington, amending Section 42060 of the Renton Municipal Code and adding a new subsection 42080.A.83 to the Renton Municipal Code, adding a new allowed use in the urban center UC zone, subject to a hearing examiner conditional use permit, providing for severability and establishing an effective date.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Prince?
I move the ordinance be adopted as read.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Prince, second by Mr. Pavoni, that this ordinance be adopted as read. It requires a roll call.
Mr. Person?
Aye.
Ms. Switchy?
Aye.
Mr. McGurven?
Aye.
Ms. Perez?
Aye.
Mr. Pavoni?
Aye.
Mr. Corman?
Aye.
And Mr. Prince?
Aye.
Roll call, Mr. Mayor, all ayes.
Ayes have it.
Okay, the final ordinance is regarding impounded shopping carts. An ordinance of the City of Renton, Washington, amending Section 627-5 of the Renton Municipal Code by increasing deferrals of fines for impounded shopping carts, providing for severability, and establishing an effective date.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Prince.
I move the ordinance be adopted as read.
Second.
Been moved by Mr. Prince, second by Ms. Perez, that this ordinance be adopted as read. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Oops, sorry, Mr. Mayor.
roll
we,
call.
Oh, I'm
need a
sorry,
roll
you're
call.
right. I apologize. We need a roll call.
All right. Mr. Person,
Aye.
Ms. Switchy,
Aye.
Mr. McIrvin,
Aye.
Ms. Perez,
Aye.
Mr. Pavoni,
Aye.
Mr. Corman,
Aye.
and Mr. Prince.
Aye.
Roll call, Mr. Mayor, all ayes.
The ayes still have it.
Okay.
Thanks, Jason. Okay, moving on to new business. Besides the fact, if everyone promises not to sing, it's Randy Corman's birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Happy birthday, Randy.
Thank you very much.
So, Mr. Person, new
I
business.
think we should sing.
No need.
That would be painful, but go ahead.
Only if you're starting, Don.
No, that would really be painful.
Thank you.
Anyway, next Monday, May 13th, in the conferencing center, the committee of the whole will meet at 5:45 PM, and there's 3 issues: Parks, Recreation, and Natural Areas Plan Update, lease proposal, Old Chamber of Commerce building for a briefing only, and 3 emerging issues. That's it, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Witchy.
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Mr. McIrvin.
No meetings to announce, Mr. Mayor, but I did want to really quickly acknowledge a group of Hazen students that walked out of class last week to support sustainability in Renton. One of the things that they were asking for on their signs that I saw in the story in the Renton Reporter regarded Green Direct, which is a program that Puget Sound Energy offers, where the city or other corporate entities can purchase power that's from sustainable sources like solar, and that would be something I would think that we could be responsive to, and would like to ask the administration to look into that, at least as a possibility that amongst the other things. I know we're a very green city. We have LED lighting. We do a lot of these things already, but that one seemed to be something that we could certainly look into.
You bet. We'd be glad to do that. One of the things you might consider is just putting the whole topic in the Utilities Committee and give us different things that you'd like us to do some research on.
That's a great idea. I would like to move that we refer the issues of sustainable utilities into the Utilities Committee.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. McIrvin, second by Mr. Corman, that the topic of sustainable energy and, was it energy?
Let's say energy, yeah.
Yeah, be referred to the Utilities Committee. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, thank you. Ms. Perez.
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Mr. Pavoni.
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Mr. Corman.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I would like to announce a Public Safety Committee meeting for Monday, May 13th at 4:30 PM in the council conference room, and one item on that agenda, and it's emerging issues in public safety. And that's all, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Prince.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to announce a Planning and Development Committee meeting on Monday, May 13th, 5 PM in the council conference room. We have 3 items on the agenda: the Benson Hill Community Plan Advisory Board appointment, Conway, docket number 14, and emerging issues in CED. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. What's the wish of the council?
Move we adjourn.
Second.
Been moved by Mr. Prince, second by Ms. Witchy, that we adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.